Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. We are delighted to have with us today Max Byloff, the Regional Oracle's Marketing Cloud Business Lead for Eastern Central Europe, Middle East, as well as Africa. Since he's joined Oracle in 2017, Max has held crucial regional roles like Application Country Leader for Central Europe and as board member of Oracle Austria. Before joining Oracle and after attaining 2 university degrees in business and social science, Max co-founded the startup DigitalWerk, which today is one of the leading digital marketing agencies in the German-speaking world. Max teaches customer experience management at Vienna University of Economics and is a frequent speaker on CX transformation. Welcome, Max.
Thanks for the nice intro, Yusha. It sounds very good. If you put it
well, it sounds very impressive to us as well.
No, thanks for having me, really. Thanks.
It's a pleasure, Max. Now, given you've had a plethora of experience over the years, how do you see the CX industry transforming, and what are the main challenges that you're seeing in the CX industry this year so far?
Mm-hmm. So, I'm extremely glad to be working in times like ours in the customer experience era, because we see an enormous change, and I think for the positive, and enormous growth of that era, but with, of course, which also brings some challenges for organizations where we then come in as a technology player and provider in order to help solve them. But let's take it step by step. So I think when we're here in the year 2022, right, just after a long crisis, especially with the COVID times and the pandemic, then we see that the role of customer service, especially in such a CX end-to-end journey, has become nowadays so much more than just addressing concerns and resolving issues. And I always like to focus also a little bit on service, because typically, and in some of the talks, a pure focus is put on marketing only. But what I always recommend is to really stop thinking into those pillars, because the customers don't care, right? For them, it's one journey, and service is now a key. So it's the first message that I would like to put a focus on. So that can be anything from an inquiry, right, of a question, to the time of purchase, to usage, to support, and starting all that cycle again. So what are some of those challenges that I see, right? And I think typically when I speak to CMOs, CIOs, other stakeholders around the region, it's three things that matter, and which we always recommend to also address first in order to be able to deliver that great CX. And the first one is, it all starts with data collection and data usage. So flawed or limited data is something that would put a stop right there to really being able to deliver the great CX in service and in other parts. So it requires, if you really want to craft a seamless customer experience, it requires clear insights to what your customers want and the obstacles they face, so we can reimagine that CX and change things around for your specific brand. So I just read, and I'd like to quote this, so a very recent study from McKinsey with thousands of CX leaders that just was published, that turned out that 93% of them said they rely mostly on customer satisfaction scores and other survey-based feedbacks when they assess their CX strategy. But at the same time, and that's important, 85% of them said they're unhappy with that, right? They're unhappy with this evaluation method. Because service can be a helpful tool, but there's limits clearly. Yeah? The insight that you gain, that depends on who chooses to participate. It's a very limited scope of answers, etc. And you can only do that after a transaction. I cannot go ahead and say, hey, please fill me out all these questions without us having a deep conversation. So what does that mean? That means that if we are able to assess an experience and adapt to that in real time, and we can do that with behavioral data, with assessing that intelligence, then we are able to create a much closer connection in real time, except for these cycles of service. So it's the first one, data. Second one is we still see sometimes a too tight, that CX is too tied to a traditional department-driven approach. And I see this, by the way, all over the region that you mentioned that I cover. So great CX means simple, effective, enjoyable interactions, making your customer smile. But it doesn't matter, like we said in the beginning, wherever they are in the journey. So I cannot expect them to use the CX of the service department, of the sales department, of the marketing department, of the aftercare. It doesn't work that way. So if we still see CX in silos, we will get silos. A lot of telcos, for example, still, if you go to the store today, to the point of sales, the physical one, and you negotiate an offer and call 5 minutes later for the customer service to get an offline offer, it will be completely different, because the data is assessed still in different silos, and we need to stop that. And just the third one, and then I stop the monologue for now, is that a lot of companies are still struggling to deliver a seamless omni-channel experience. So meaning I, as a customer, want to be able to be in the channel I am right now. It doesn't matter where, if it's a special social media channel, if it's at the POS, if it's in a call center, to have the real-time interaction seamlessly connected to that. And technically it's possible, and but practically not always implemented yet. And I really recommend to focus there, because again, another huge survey from the past 6 months, CM Group showed that Gen Z is a generation that likes physical experience again more than the millennials. And it might seem surprising, right? But physical experience actually get a stronger value when in a generation that grows up with their smartphones. So there we see that in those multi-thousand participants, that 75% say yes, they shop on their smartphones, but a majority of those say usually they prefer the in-person shopping experience, much more than the millennials in the same survey. So when we know that, it means also we need to integrate that data, and we need to be really regardless of the channel in order to deliver those experiences.
Certainly, and you've summarized it extremely well as well, Max, because what we are seeing as well is that in this massive transformation that's happening in the customer experience journey, a lot of organizations are currently reevaluating their customer journey mapping. And as you rightly said, that data is the most important ingredient. Structured data is a priority within organizations. Now, obviously, to bring this whole experience together, it is really important for organizations to rely on the right technology and technology partners in order to enhance their outcomes. What would you say is the top technology enabler which is driving the transformation we are seeing in customer engagement and management?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question, and I'll continue in answering that to what we said before when we talked about the need of connected data and the need of connected channels and also connected internal departments. So the word that's there is connectivity. And in order to have that, I need those technological enablers to bring me that. So if I wanna really bring that unique and personalized content, I first of all need some sort of technology to be able to capture the data, assess it in real time, apply machine learning on that. So without being too technical here, it's not my intention today, that would be a customer data platform that's the talk of town and that we see already working very well in a bunch of clients across the world to have this, being able to have this, right? So once you got that right, you want to also have a right-fitting omni-channel experience platform where you can activate that stuff regardless of your channel again. And sort of the third pillar would be personalization on the website, real-time A/B testing, and all the stuff on your own channels. Yeah, it cannot be only the website, can be your app, can be whatever else you own in the digital space. So when you get sort of these three pillars right, then really, of course, we cannot forget about the content and about how to push that out. And here I want to make one important point, because I just recently had a discussion with CMO of a big bank and said, okay, it's good that we do hyper personalization and we have all the data, and then we have I have 20 million customers, let's say, but how can I make 20 million personalized content? It's impossible. And I think that's it's a very interesting question, and the answer to that is that unique customer service doesn't equate to like a concierge level service for each customer, right? Or brainstorming a new solution for everyone. It simply means to be able, with that technological pillars that I just mentioned, to triage in the right way, bring the right match, the right answers from a predefined set to that question, and when that personal interaction happens, most likely, by the way, in the service space, like we said, that person who has that one-on-one interaction is able to, in real time, see what is the customer really about, what does he want to most likely hear, solve, get, etc., be recommended, etc. So it's more about mix and matching, and then really to creating a new experience every time. There we need to leverage the data, activate it in real time on the channel of choice, and then that's basically the most important things. And one more is, of course, loyalty. So if we take beyond the sale, then we need to look at how do we keep customer really becoming them fans. So that's the king discipline then, right? So if we have someone to make them really happy, and there's also certain technology and techniques around it.
Definitely. And I guess when we're looking at hyper-personalization and when we're looking at the matrix of loyalty to actually evaluate how well we've been able to execute it, one of the things that always comes to mind is the seamless integration of these applications. Now, you obviously offer a connected suite of applications that goes beyond the traditional CRM to help you create, manage, serve, and nurture those lasting relationships that we're just talking about. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the USPs that we at Oracle pride ourselves. Let's say pride. We put a strong focus on this. So over the past years, where the whole world's IT business moved from self-installed on-premise software to software as a service in the cloud, what we have done is re-engineer and rebuild the complete software stack from scratch on our own database, on our own infrastructure, on everything Oracle, right? Because we come from building and analyzing and providing a really good data experience, right? That's where Oracle traditionally comes from. So in the past, let's say 15 years, where this transition happened, putting also our Prime and software on that, it's really, we are able to have this one stack. And that's what you want to have when you integrate. So if you have like a niche player that does something very good on a very special special process. Still, you will need to put that on, some sort of server, integrated with something else, etc. And this is then when in IT project in praxis, where issues will and can occur. So by having one integrated suite across anything an IT department needs and the business department needs, you can go really, really seamless in those processes. It starts with the customer data master, of course. It starts with timing, right? Real time. What does real time mean? Yeah. So we are able to provide in milliseconds very, very, very complex activations. So I want to give an example maybe to illustrate that. So we have now a case live in the Czech Republic where with a bank, so if I go and want to pay at the point of sale at a grocery store and I have insufficient funds, we can send in milliseconds a real-time loan offer to that phone. So imagine what needs to happen in the background, right? From your customer processes to activating it, to calculating the loan. Is the person eligible? Am I allowed to do that? Etc. So that can only happen, of course, if you have all these processes inherently built together to work together. And we also invest yearly a very large amount of US dollars to make all these modules per se to always better and better to enable new features and functions on that same platform.
Sounds very exciting. Now, I know what you're talking about is the aspiration for a lot of CX leaders right now as they're going through this whole reimagination of what the digital CX journey should be. How do you embrace the cloud? How do you develop these hyper-personalized experiences? Can you share with us some examples of companies you have empowered to deliver exceptional CX, and what impact have they observed on their overall business?
Very gladly. So I could share a lot of different examples, but one that's very close to me and to my heart and a lot of my colleagues is the story of Formula One. So there we have a really exciting example of an implementation with the Oracle Red Bull Racing team. So as the title sponsor, we also had forged a partnership in the past years to elevate the experiences of the Formula One team's fans in a completely different way, as well as doing a lot of stuff around the real-time race analytics to help the team win. And I'll give you some details. So the first part around fans and about which are their customers, right? Their customer experience with their fans is that together in the partnership, there was a completely new loyalty program designed. It's called the Paddock. And what it does is it brings each fan closer to the action and gives them the insights that they can't get anywhere else. So what it means is that you can submit questions to the team, that you can collect points by really engaging in a lot of ways that go way beyond simple stuff like signing up somewhere or something, but by really showing that you're part of the community. So a result of that is that it launched in October of 2021. And within just a few weeks, it increased from just starting numbers to really millions of points being used and of really enormous amounts of members there. So ever since then, in 1 year, more than 35,000 digital rewards have been redeemed by the team, and it's an extremely successful program. So I just last night I was flying back from London at the International Loyalty Awards, where Oracle Red Bull Racing has been awarded a number of awards, and also the Loyalty Reimagining Loyalty Award for this very program, and I'm extremely happy about that. So the second part maybe for that is, despite the fan experience, It's really, like I mentioned, the real-time analytics, which sits in this inherent platform that we talked about. So during the championship season, and luckily a very successful one in the last one, and also in the ongoing one, the team's engineers used this Oracle Cloud Infrastructure platform to run all these billions of computer simulations to prepare the race strategies and to help make them these real-time decisions then during the races. So, for example, when to make a pit stop change and change tires, right? So now we are really bringing all of that even to the next level, and it's a very, very exciting and successful partnership.
Sounds amazing. And just knowing that the excitement that comes with Formula One, the fact that you're being able to even enhance and amplify what the fans can get on site and how the teams can actually utilize this is just fascinating. Now, last but not the least, Max, how does Oracle distinguish itself from other players in the market?
Yeah, so basically, our strategy is based on the idea that the cloud should be engineered to support every app, right? Rather than forcing customers to re-engineer their applications to work with the cloud. And I think that's a key point there. So when you have that unified, fast, secure platform, like we do, then it's really simple to activate on the certain modules, right? But they should always be engineered, and they are, to support whatever is already there in the ecosystem. So we do offer this large range of software as a service, of infrastructure as a service, and in a by the way, extremely expanding cloud region with data centers all around the globe, to be very close to the customers. And the point is really, and I keep repeating this, but it's to be able to unlock these data findings and to really have the data in real time, secure, hyper-personalized, enabled. And that we do that by having this extremely performative platform on which all of our software has been engineered to work together. And that's, yeah, luckily is an exciting time where a lot of customers already unlock a complete new experience for their customers, which then makes me smile.
Absolutely, and hope it's a fantastic year forward for you, Max. You're definitely it's one of the most exciting times in the CX space right now, because everybody is reimagining their whole customer experience, their customer journey mapping. And I know that all the leaders we talk to, the CX leaders we talk to, they are looking at embracing a lot much more technology to be able to do exactly what you've just spoken about. So it looks like a perfect time to be able to maximize the opportunities on either side. We wish you all the very best and look forward to working with you shortly.
Thank you so much, and all the best to you as well.